Okay, what's up? We're here again. Going to do another cross-examination. So, you fruit the idea of discipline being bad. So my question for you is, what would you define as discipline, and how would you impose it?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to give you an example of discipline. As you can tell, you're wearing an SEC soccer shirt. I'm assuming that you understand what it is to have a set of rules or orders given by a coach. A coach tells you to do something and you do it, but you generally don't question why. If you do, you're wondering, okay, why am I going to be doing this? What the coach is actually trying to implement with you is that he's giving you these set of challenges, these problems for you to overcome. So in the future, if you ever face any of these problems in the future, or anything similar, you have the knowledge and the ability to overcome those problems. Discipline is basically the ability to overcome a problem without a weakness hindering you from moving forward.
Okay, nice definition. Now, a lot like that question, we get into the area of physical fitness. And my question is, how would you define what are the standards of determining who's fit and who's not fit? Who can do this and who can do that?
Okay, generally with any military standard, let's go with United States Army's entry standard. You have to be able to do, for you to be able to actually enter the United States Army, you actually have to be able to do 32 push-ups at the very minimum. You actually have to be able to do 50 sit-ups at the very beginning, and you have to be able to run 1.5 miles in the span of 16 minutes. That's just the United States Army standard. What we're going to try to implement is a slightly tuned down version of that. So for being able to fit, if it's going to be for secondary education to primary education, you're assuming from kids from kindergarten up to high school. So depending on the grade that they're in, they're going to be matched accordingly. So say for the high schoolers, you can make the assumption that they can run a mile in 10, 11 minutes. That's a pretty decent standard. I'm not going to, for people that can, if they run it faster, that's great. So if they're a little bit slower, at least they're close to it. That's a pretty decent standard. If they're a younger age, they're going to might make it faster, might make it slower, depending on the demographics of the area. If a person isn't as fit as that person, then they're going to be considered unfit. And which ties in back to my other points I made previously. If a person is not fit, they'll be worked into a program to help to improve their ability to overcome physical problems and make them more fit. And at which point they'll be generally released back into the general population.
Okay, so how do you find that standard? Do you just do an average?
Yeah, I will do an average accordingly, and then we'll base it off what the students should be at and what the students are actually able to do at that time. So if the students of, let's say, the particular city of Orange, of let's say Villa Park High School, those students can only run a mile at 12 minutes, but the standard is 10 minutes. We're going to make the standard for that school 11:30. So the people that can hit 11:30 are considered fit, but it's not too far of a stretch for the people that are unfit not to be able to get into that category.
Okay, awesome. And the last question for today is, you say the military academy produces leaders, and we can't dispute that because it does. But I want to know how it will help provide working class citizens, like in the fields of carpentry, metalworks, or auto mechanics. Basically, we've got trade workers. How will it help us provide trade workers for our working class?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to give another example of the military. The military has this categorization. Go back to the Army. It's basically acronym MOS, Military Occupational Specialty. You choose the specialty that you want, and they train you in that specialty. Say for a student in the high school, he has an interest in fixing cars.
Okay.
There's going to be an emphasis on that particular specialty so they can learn. It's not going to be anything specific to just academia. But if a student has an interest in, say, poetry, there's going to be something for that. But if a student has an interest in being an electrician, there would be something for that. So it's going to be trade-based as well.
Trade-based. Okay. How would you separate the kids from going into the trade-based subjects as opposed to just general ed?
Well, it would be the same thing that you would have taken in an elective in high school or in an elective in college. It'd just be elective classes.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. We're all good.